Pop quiz. What do the girls from Sex and the City, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Hippocrates' Four Humors have in common? Answer, they're all divided into 4 archetypes. With Sex and the City, you've got Carrie the girl next door, Charlotte the prude, Miranda the career woman, and Samantha the sexpot. With TMNT, there's the leader Leonardo, the smart guy Donatello, the angry guy Raphael, and the party dude Michelangelo. As for the 4 humors, they refer to 4 bodily fluids that influence behavior. Those with red blood are friendly, those with yellow bile are angry, those with black bile are lazy, and those with phlegm are depressed. When it comes to Resident Evil, our protagonists are categorized in a similar fashion. In their case, the characters are defined by their blood types. Let's analyze that. Hello everyone. The doctor has returned. You may remember me from my previous appearance in the Control video. And now that I've retired from the Bureau, I'm here to help analyze the blood types of Resident Evil. Thanks, Doc. Before we can get into the individual characters, we have to talk about the origins of blood type theory. It's a really big deal in Japan, and it affects so many aspects of life, from dating and compatibility to job interviews. Formulated by Takeji Furukawa in the 1920s and 30s, the theory states that your blood type determines your personality, which sounds an awful lot like the 4 humors. It's just as archaic as the 4 humors too. It's complete pseudoscience, rejected by academic peers at the time, that seems to do more harm than good. There's at least one story of a man who had a rough job interview due to his blood type. We can put the Sex and the City cast and the Ninja Turtles in convenient boxes, but spend any time with their respective shows, and you'll learn that there's so much more to their characters than those basic personality traits. So, blood type theory is bogus, but as a big part of Japanese culture, it's no wonder it comes into play when a developer like Capcom creates characters for Resident Evil. And it does serve as a helpful framework for talking about them. Medically inaccurate, but helpful for this video. Exactly. So let's kick this thing off. And I'm actually going to start with type O. Those with this blood type are optimists. Confident, intuitive, and strong-willed at their best, but self-centered, cold workaholics at their worst. The first type O that we meet is Chris Redfield in the original Resident Evil. His confidence is clear right off the bat. His teammates Jill Valentine and Burton start exploring Spencer Mansion together, but Chris sets off alone. Furthermore, he sets off with just a knife, not even a pistol, which is definitely a confident move. His strong will also comes across mechanically. Between him and Jill, he has more health. Sometimes that self-centeredness pops up though, like during the lab escape in Jill's campaign.
Jill, ladies first.
Chris!
Would you let me have my moments too?
Predictably, Chris's sister Claire Redfield is also the heroic type O. Just like her brother, Claire exudes confidence, which is clear from the moment you start her campaign in Resident Evil 2. She's there to find her brother, she believes she will find him, and nothing's gonna change that confident mindset.
I'm not gonna be around long. Once I find Chris, we're out of here.
Same goes for when she's facing the horrifically mutated Dr. William Birkin.
Trust me. This ends now.
I just want to say, for the record, not all doctors are obsessed with creating horrible viruses. Optimism and confidence go hand in hand for Claire. She believes she can accomplish a task, and she finds the bright side in doing so. This leads to one of my favorite moments in RE2, where she begins bonding with Sherry Birkin, the daughter of that horrible monster we just saw.
My mom's always at work. I don't get to see her much.
Well, hopefully you'll get to see her again soon. So, where's your dad?
He, worked with my mom, but he's gone.
Wow. Both of my parents are gone. It's just me and my brother.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be. It means we've got something in common, and that's a good thing, right?
Speaking of Sherry, she also carries type O blood. Like Claire, she's optimistic about escaping her predicaments. We get to play one of these scenarios for ourselves, when she's locked inside the orphanage by Chief Irons.
There has to be a way out of here.
Her intuition comes into play immediately, using toys in the bedroom to solve a puzzle, get some scissors, and escape the room. Her strong will is also apparent as she manages to outwit and outrun the chief shortly after. But the greatest evidence of strong will is that she survived years of experimentation at the hands of Umbrella. By the time we play as her again in Resident Evil 6, she's turned that awful history into a positive, with the ability to heal her own wounds.
Yeah, maybe it's your blood they should be testing for vaccines.
They already did. More than I could stand.
Turning a dark past into strength for the future is a very optimistic move. And now we can talk about Type A. These are the organizers. At best, they're earnest, reserved, patient, and responsible. At worst, they're over-earnest, stubborn, and tense. Barry Burton is the first Type A we spend time with in Resident Evil 1. He's a family man, and he protects Jill in the same way he'd protect his own daughter. The responsibility he feels for her is very clear from the numerous times he rescues her, from zombies, and collapsing ceilings, and giant plant monsters. Barry is a stand-up guy, but his convictions can also be used against him, dipping into that negative over-earnestness. Behind the scenes, he's actually working against Jill and the rest of the STARS squad. You see, perennial Resident Evil villain Wesker has threatened his family. To protect them, Barry must endanger others. Luckily, he turns it back around when he and Jill confront Wesker in the lab beneath the mansion.
Barry!
Forgive me.
If we rewind a bit, we can talk about another Type A, Billy Coen from Resident Evil 0. For my money, he's the strongest example of Type A's reserved quality. We're told he's a dangerous escaped prisoner. In reality, he's an ex-soldier who refused to shoot down some innocent villagers and got stuck with the blame thanks to a government cover-up. We don't really get to know him until this truth is revealed. He's reserved. He keeps this information close to the chest. His stubbornness is more apparent, at least in terms of gameplay. He has way more health than his teammate Rebecca Chambers, and he even takes all the big hits from the final boss. Stubbornness translates into a refusal to go down in combat. My favorite Type A character also happens to be my favorite protagonist overall, Leon Kennedy. He's a rookie cop in Resident Evil 2, caught up in the viral outbreak in Raccoon City on what was supposed to be his first day on the job. This earnest conviction to do good as a police officer motivates him throughout the entire game.
There was another officer I couldn't...
But this does turn into over-earnestness at times. If Leon wasn't so concerned with protocol, he might have been able to save reporter Ben Bertolucci.
Come on, don't be an asshole. Okay, you need this. Just get me the fuck out of here!
Just as he was motivated by law enforcement in RE2, Leon is motivated by a new mission in 4, safeguarding President Graham's family and rescuing his kidnapped daughter Ashley. I see the negative trait of being tense when Leon returns here. Perhaps he's just battle-hardened by previous events, but this Leon seems much more stiff than the rookie cop we saw last time. On the flip side, his patience is on full display, because it takes a lot of patience to deal with Ashley's constant screams. That is precisely why I don't work in child pediatrics. Now let's talk about Blood Type B, the creatives. It's redundant to say, but yes, they are creative as well as active and strong. Those are the good traits. Bad ones include being unforgiving and going their own way. Type B is a special case in Resident Evil because the only key character we get with this blood type is Jill Valentine. Her positive traits shine all throughout Resident Evil 1. Creativity comes out in playing the piano. She can play the Moonlight Sonata and open a secret passage, but Chris can't. Nor can he mix chemicals to create V-Jolt, but Jill can. And if you play your cards right, you can use this to your advantage and skip the Plant 42 boss fight altogether. Jill is also active. While Chris's campaign begins with just a knife, Jill carries a pistol from the start. Likewise, she has more inventory space than her coworker. What's more, she can use a lockpick to get through certain doors in the mansion. Chris has to track down one-time use keys to enter those rooms. In these ways, Jill is more active. Lockpicking makes a return in Resident Evil 3, which is also where Jill's negative traits come to light. The mansion incident brought her unforgiving nature to the forefront. It's become her mission, her downright obsession to eradicate Umbrella, to the point where she's pinned up an Always Sunny Pepe Silva conspiracy board in her apartment and is having constant nightmares. One of the most poetic aspects of Resident Evil 3 is how Nemesis mirrors this. It's a tyrant that relentlessly pursues members of STARS, a reflection of Jill's own relentless pursuit of Umbrella. Their clashes show a whole lot of Type B's strength trait too. Jill takes an incredible amount of physical injury during the game, from car crashes to train wrecks. She even gets seeded by the Nemesis parasite at one point. Thanks to her new acquaintance Carlos, she's able to receive a vaccine and overcome even that. Which reminds me, make sure you get vaccinated, everyone. Doctor's orders. Jill and Carlos still butt heads a few times though. You can definitely blame it on Carlos for being overfamiliar when they first meet, but Jill's cold shoulder exemplifies the Type B idea of going her own way.
I'm fine.
Personal space. Okay, I get it. Let's go.
She's definitely in the right there, but going her own way is subverted later in the series. She appears in Resident Evil 5 as a villain, under Wesker's control. Thankfully, her old buddy Chris is able to bring her back to reality.
Chris.
Now that we've reached Resident Evil 5, it's a good time to talk about the fourth and final blood type, AB, the Eccentrics. They're cool and controlled, rational and adaptable, but unfortunately also prone to split personalities. RE5 kicks off with Chris Redfield meeting Sheva Alomar, his partner for this assignment, and a Type AB. She is, predictably, very cool and controlled in their first meeting, and it's her job to help American Chris get along smoothly with the African locals.
That's why I'm your partner. Help put them at ease.
Chris is largely motivated by finding Jill, who he previously thought to be dead, and Sheva's adaptability comes into play when she decides to go all in helping him in his search.
I don't have much time. I have to find her.
I'm going with you. These are my people that are dying here.
Are you sure about this? A second ago, you were ready to cut and run.
I can't just turn my back and walk away.
Her rationality can also be seen here. Helping Chris find Jill means finding help for her people too. Rebecca Chambers is one of the most helpful heroes in the series, as another Type AB, but specifically as a medic. In Resident Evil 0, she can mix herbs to heal wounds, and mix chemicals to cure poison and solve puzzles. Conversely, her companion Billy Coen cannot. Her coolness and control is on display when they first meet. At this point, all she knows is that Billy is an escaped convict, yet she addresses him very calmly.
Been fantasizing about me, have you?
You're the prisoner that was being transferred for execution. You were with those soldiers outside.
Her appearance in RE1 reinforces these traits, as she quickly adapts to the situation of Chris in the clutches of Plant 42. It's up to her to mix the V-Jolt, kill the plant roots, and free him. Finally, there's perhaps the coolest of any Resident Evil character. Ada Wong comes into the picture with a suave, secret agent aura. She keeps her cool in RE2 when saving Leon's butt a few times, and when escaping from a fiery incinerator herself. But she also falls into Type AB's trap of a split personality, double-crossing Leon at a critical moment in the lab under the police station. She returns with more super spy flourish in Resident Evil 4, but thanks to that previous betrayal, we're never really sure if we can trust her. At the very least, she stays rational, leaving behind a letter for Leon regarding his parasitic infection. She doesn't beat around the bush. He likely won't survive the operation to remove it. But she wouldn't have left the letter if she didn't at least feel something for Leon. They have kind of a Batman and Catwoman thing going on. You know, I had that with this anesthesiologist once, and she was... Sorry, that's off topic. Blood types defining someone's personality is a fallacy, at least in the real world, but it does serve as the base for creating Resident Evil's key characters. Types O, A, B, and AB are all defined by positive and negative traits we can see in action throughout the series. I learned a lot comparing and contrasting these qualities, but I am still left with one big question. What about Ethan Winters, the hero of Resident Evil 7 and Village? If you've played the Maiden demo, you may have found this note, which implies that Lady Dimitrescu uses actual blood in her wine, so clearly blood is still a big part of the series. But Capcom stopped publishing characters' blood types after RE6, so Ethan's has never been officially listed anywhere. Now pause. There was a spoiler warning at the top, but no need to shut off the video here. I'm not going to spoil anything in Resident Evil Village, just 7. Okay. I believe Ethan is Type O, the optimistic hero. Prior to the events of the game, his wife Mia has gone missing, presumed dead. But then he receives a message from her. Rather than contact the authorities, he rushes off to get her himself. That's confidence right there. When he does finally reunite with Mia, we learn that something has gone very wrong. She's not herself. She's violent, lashing out at her own husband. But this is where Ethan's optimism kicks in. Despite all the setbacks, despite the uncharacteristic hostility from Mia, he's able to survive the whole ordeal and escape with her, ultimately starting a new life and a family together. Coming out of a nightmarish situation and turning things around, that's classic optimism. We're bound to see these qualities come forward even more in Resident Evil Village. And in contrast, I'm sure we're going to see the negative traits of a Type O with whatever Chris Redfield is up to, with this seemingly villainous turn. That clash between two Type O's is sure to be exciting, even if you're only playing it to meet Lady Dimitrescu.
So we finally meet.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what Framework is doing, definitely hit that subscribe button in the middle. It would help me out an awful lot if you do. And if you want to see what we've already cooked up, you can hit that link on the far left. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.